Batty girls, boys, and my non-binary beauties, welcome back to Antics with Ash. We've got another solo pod today, guys. I'm really loving the love on the solo pods, by the way. As in, every time I get a teeny tiny, I'm not really an anxious person, but I get a teeny tiny bit anxious when I go on the comments to the solo pod and I'm like, oh, what are people going to say? And honestly, I don't think I've ever seen a bad comment, which is so nice. And I really appreciate it and just want to give you guys some love for that because all of you are like, bestie, I think we just need more solos. So I'm listening, I'm hearing, and I'm taking notes, and I will do more solos. And also, sometimes I have to be in the mood for a solo. You know, sometimes you're like, I need a guest to bounce off and rare-tear-tear. Sometimes I don't have time for all this. But I do today. All right, so solo pod. I put another question box out. I feel like that seems to be the way that you guys like to interact. I feel like it's a really nice way for you guys to ask some bits, me answer them. It just feels like we're doing this together. But if you can think of any other ways that you want to do that, you can even ask questions in the comments, actually, if you want, on YouTube. But, like, whatever you think, like, I'm open for suggestions, so please let me know. Also, Molly, it's been killing me. Everyone being like, someone give Molly a mic. I genuinely believe this, as in I love it when Molly just chimes in every now and again. And I do think you're going to need a mic. Or somebody said add subtitles.
Yeah, I can do that.
I think
subtitles.
You deserve some fucking subtitles, man. You're not just like a phantom voice in the background. Yeah, let's give you some subtitles. Okay, so ask some random questions. I'm going to answer some. Okay, this one's interesting. I've got two. One person wrote, love bombing. Very elusive. She didn't even say, like, what do you think of it? Literally just love bombing. I was like, okay, cool. Like, do you want to love bomb me? Or what are we doing here? Are we lip sync? Yeah, in it. Like, should we kiss? I'm guessing she wants me to talk about love bombing or my experience with it, which Lord knows I have tons of. And then somebody else said exes. So I feel like this merges together quite beautifully because I've been love bombed many a time and always by my exes. So let's chat about it. Okay, love bombing. I love it. You know that meme of Kim K when she's like, it's what I love, it's what I'm passionate about, and it's what I do. That is me with love bombing. And it's not a good thing. I'm not proud of it. I love to be love bombed, and it's actually something I'm actively trying to unlearn. I think because I'm such a passionate person, I'm very, like, high energy. So for me, somebody that is more lax, more chill, doesn't, like, go all in straight away, I think you hate me. And you think I'm butters, I'm not Leng, and you don't fancy me. Whereas if somebody is kind of like, you're amazing, you're this, you're that, oh, like, I love you, I'm in love with you, I'm like, oh my God, sick, this is exactly the energy I need. And I always mistook it for, you know when, like, men give the bare minimum? And so many men give the bare minimum. And in my head, love bombing to me was like, what do you mean? This person isn't giving the bare minimum. This person is, like, setting the bar for how interested you should be and how much you should be giving and, like, this, that, and the other. But I've realised over time, love bombing is hell and puts you in hell and is actually extremely deceitful because you don't love someone. You can have really strong feelings for someone after a short period of time. Lord knows, I've been there. But it's not realistic. All of this, like, showering in love and compliments and this and that. I also think, you'll know what I mean, Mo. I also just think it feels inauthentic now to me, whereas when I was younger, I was kind of like, honestly, you say jump and I say how high, like, who cares? Like, if you've got a knob, I'm there. But, like, now I really find it inauthentic when someone's like, you're this, you're that, the sun shines out your ass, you're amazing, I love you, let's do this, let's get married, let's talk about kids. And I'm like, you definitely don't really think this. So you don't know me, really. I don't know you, really. How can you decipher all this from the short amount of time that we've known each other. And then I'm like, you're a phony and a fake and a liar and an actress and go the fuck out. So, yeah, a lot of my ex-relationships were based on love bombing because I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. They're showing effort, like they must love me. And now I've had to really, really unlearn this. I'm also very like this in messages. So I am that person, if I first start talking to a guy, chunky paragraphs. I'm paragraphs. I love it. I think it's so great. I'm like, we're getting to know each other. It's unreal.
I believe you're a paragraph.
I'm a paragraphs girl. Or I'm also that girl that people hate where I'm still doing paragraphs, but it's one line.
Yeah.
Just like boom, boom. Yeah. Oh, are you that? Yeah. See, don't chat shit. Yeah, that's me. That is me. As in, basically, just lots and lots of messages, right? And I love it. But I am just starting to realise I've got a load of mates that are like, I'm not really a message person. And especially with dating and like apps, oh my God, guys, the time I've wasted on WhatsApp is mad. And that's time I'll never get back. There's one thing that you can't get back is time. If I could get back all the time I wasted writing paragraphs to lames, I'd be a rich, rich woman in time, okay? You can't get it back. So now, especially with dating, me and my mates say this a lot. If you're on a dating app, if you're just like playing the field a bit, seeing what's out there, do not waste bare blood clot time chatting to someone over paragraphs. You will be disappointed. Because I have had people that are energy, passion, footwork over messages, as in they can talk for England. And I've been like, oh, amazing. I'll have a ring on my finger by tomorrow. And then I go on the date with them, tell me why, twiddling their thumbs and like, I'm like, wait. This is an imposter because this can't be the person that I was speaking to in paragraphs and sonnets. It is. So I just think now, me and my mates say, if you're in the dating pool, if you're trying to get to know people, meet them immediately. I don't know how I've gone on this to love bombing, by the way. I will get back to love bombing, but it all intertwines. You need to not waste your time. Basically, have a little bit of chit-chat. Make sure you, like, somewhat know the person, as in, you know, maybe get their socials. Make sure they're real and not some nonce from round the corner. And then immediately just be like, when are you free? Don't do this whole chatty-patty for ages because, one, it's a waste of everyone's time. You don't really know if you're going to like that person. I also think in-person chemistry is a totally different ball game. Oh, my God. I know people that I can speak to in reels over text, and in person I'm like, not one bit of me fancies you. And it's not because they're butters, not because of anything. The compatibility or like sexual compatibility in person is just not there. I'm like, I think you're great, don't fancy you at all. So that is my thing. So love bombing. This actually coincides quite nicely with where I'm at the minute. I just don't know how much I want to talk about it. So I am seeing someone. That's all I'm going to say. I'm seeing someone. That's fine. Guys, it gives me the fear of life. If you know me, you know that I don't put anyone's son on my Instagram. Nobody's son is going on my Instagram unless we're balls deep, because I'm so worried, especially now that I'm in this industry and I feel like I share every little bit. I mean, you lot know, like, the moles on my arse at this point. I share everything. And I think that's just one area of my life that I'm like, I cannot be asked to share it online and then it goes tits up and then you have to explain and then you feel like a mug and blah, blah, blah. Like, for me, relationships are already so diabolically hard to navigate. Doing that whilst, like, you know, hundreds and thousands of eyes are on you as well. No, not for me. No thanks. So what I do is I'll just do like little subliminal messages to you guys. Like, oh, is that someone's son? Boom. And then I won't say anything. Then I'll go off the grid, drop the mic. So I did this the other day. No, it was so funny. So the other day, I've gone for a night out with said boy, man. For me calling him a boy, he's a man. He's a big man. Anyway, he's a dench man. He is dench. He is dench. I will give him that. Anyway, so we've gone for dinner. We've had a really nice dinner. I had loads of wine. I was quite pissed, and we went to a M&S garage or something on the way home. Because obviously I wanted a vape because I'm still in a toxic relationship with Lost Mary. So hence why I'm not putting this man up. So we were there, and you know the little CCTV cameras that are at the top of the shop? I was like all drunk, all feeling the love and just a bit giddy, blah, blah, blah. I videoed us both in the camera, yeah? I'm just like slopping about. I was a mess, honestly. And we've lipsed. Okay, wasn't even a mad lips. Like what? It was literally like it was a lips to lips touch, wasn't it, Molly? It wasn't anything bad. You lot are acting like, honestly, we did it up doggy style on the fucking CCTV. We just did a little lips. The next day, I looked at my camera roll and I actually said to him, I completely forgot that we even took this. That's hilarious. I must have had way too much wine. So I ended up posting it to my story. Didn't think anything of it. Pandora's box had been opened. Honestly, when I tell you I had 300 odd messages. What the fuck? Whose son is this? Who's the man? Is this a hard launch? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, ooh. And I was so shitting myself. I was like, I need to get rid. I need to delete it. Is that freaking him out? Is it freaking me out? It's freaking everyone out. Yeah. Anyway, I didn't take it down because I was like, nah, I liked the video, so I put it up. It's not that deep. We're not getting married. Who cares? But, yeah, so the point this actually all ties back into love bombing. Maybe this whole hour episode is going to be love bombing. Anyway, my point with this is I opened a can of worms. Everyone was like, is this a hard launch? Is this a soft launch? What is this? I was like, it's nothing. We are seeing each other. That's it. That's where we're at right now, okay? And then I was like, I'm not going to address it because that just makes it all weird. So then I just dropped the lips video and then just left it. And then I felt quite naughty. I was like, do you know what? I feel like Hansel and Gretel. I'm just leaving little trails of things for everyone and being like, you do the maths. And then I don't have to explain if it all goes tits up. That's my plan. So I'll just, if you never see him again, then maybe, then maybe it's gone to shit.
I got DMs about it.
Did you?
Yeah.
On what?
Like, my friend's like, is Ash dating someone? And I was like,
Chloe Burrows messaged me immediately, said, she just put, are you fucking joking? I was like, that is so funny. But yeah, I have found this time round dating really, really interesting. And I don't want to air my shit too much, but basically, this man is the polar opposite of someone that love bombs you. And I initially was, and I've even had conversations with him about it, I initially was like, fucking hell, I've got no clue if he's into me. Because I've been so used to this toxic cycle of having these extremely intense, but like emotionally damaged boys, like genuinely. So it got to me dating this boy now, and I was like, I don't really know if you like me. Like, I can't tell where we're at. And he was like, I don't get it. Like, I'm enjoying myself, you're enjoying myself. Like, what's the issue? And everything he was saying was so valid. Like, I was like, true. Everything he was saying, I was like, true. And then, when you're like, am I the drama? Yes, I kind of realised I was, because this is just a very normal man that loves in a normal way, that dates in a normal way, that doesn't have to, like, throw all his cards on the table straight away and, like, hook, line and sinker you. He was just like, I don't get it. Like, I'm getting to know you, you're getting to know me, I'm having a great time, you're having a great time. Are we good? And I was like, yeah, I guess we're good. Then I felt like a fanny, because I was like, yeah, we are good. I don't know why I'm being weird about it, but it was just because it was so hard for me to break out of this cycle. And what I'm finding so much with him is he's not a love bomber by any stretch. In fact, he actually somewhat goes the other way. And we've also talked about this. But he was like, he's not that forthcoming with his emotions. He's not one of these guys that's going to be like, God, let me look into your eyes and tell you you're beautiful every day. He's really not that kind of person. But also, it's so nice because it means when he does say something nice, I'm like, you mean that. Because you're not wet. You're so far from being a wet person that you really mean it. And this is kind of what I mean about the love bombing and it feeling inauthentic. It's like if somebody is saying all these things to you consistently, what do they mean anymore? Like, it just loses meaning. And then when you actually do have it said to you, you're kind of just like, well, you said that last night, you said that 5 minutes ago, you said that 10 minutes ago. Whereas if somebody is kind of, I wouldn't say like loving cautiously, but I think just dating at a fair pace, then all these like milestones that you hit actually mean something because they didn't all happen in the first 5 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'll hang out and then they'll start saying things that you're like, oh, wow, you want to do this with me? That's really nice. That obviously means that this is going further than I thought it was, you know? So I'm finding, and this is all a learning curve for me. So if you're here like, I love bombing, I'm like, this is all new territory. This is brand new information. I am very much figuring this out as I go right now. And it's not easy. It really isn't. I could very easily go back to one of the heinous men in my DMs that's like, I love you. Look at your tits. They're amazing. Look at you. Oh, my God. Yeah. But that's not going to work. And it never breeds into a healthy relationship. So what I'm saying is, please break out of that toxic cycle of love bombing. And I promise you it will reap rewards. Also me, single next week. But we'll see.
Probably a good thing to add. Love bombing comes from narcissism. So in itself,
yeah.
it's a flag about the guy.
What is it about narcissists that would cause them to love bomb? Is it almost this excessive want for attention, someone to just think you're amazing?
So apparently it lowers your natural inhibition and causes you to trust them because they're putting in so much
Oh, you got the Google up. Yes, okay. So what does it do? Lowers your natural inhibition.
And encourages you to trust the person doing it because they're feeding you so
That's
much.
what it is. The trust. It's like they lure you into this false sense of security. That's exactly what it is. Because I had that with all of my exes that had the tendency to love bomb. It was like they put me into this false sense of comfortability of like, oh, fucking hell, they think I'm God's gift. There is no way they're ever going to stray from me or not be with me. And that just simply was not the case. They absolutely were not down for me and just me. But that makes so much sense that it's a real narcissistic trait of just wanting attention from that person. And you do. You're gonna give attention to the person. If you think back to who you've entertained, like romantically, right? You want to say that you like the person that's like all nonchalant and doesn't really care. That is not the person that you end up giving your time to. You end up, the one that's like on you, you've probably ended up giving your time to them, right?
Yeah, and it's give and take, right? So if someone's giving you loads, you feel like you have to give loads.
Yeah, so you give loads back. God.
Interesting.
Love bombing is so interesting. I had one ex that did it to like a crazy degree. And he was so, do you know what? He was tapped. Yeah, he was tapped. He would love bomb, and it would leave me so confused. I remember he lived in Bournemouth. I will air his shit fully. He's a pagan. He lived in Bournemouth, right? And me. Here's the coordinates for his house in case you want to egg it. And I used to go down. I used to drive up, down to Bournemouth to see him. Already, that was quite an intense thing. I was young. I was like 21. And I remember, that's not like dating someone. That's like when you have to, if someone lives, especially if you're a little bit long distance, it automatically goes quicker because you're not going on a few dates with them. I always say this, and that's why people in long distance relationships always end up being together way quicker. They hit all the milestones quicker because you spend days together which would take you months in dates to get to that point. So I remember I was driving down to Bournemouth, spending like days with him at a time. He was like love bombing, and I was loving it. And he was a real, you know that phrase where people are like the same person that gives you that danger and that fire and that like real just like wild love is not the same person that is gonna love you peacefully and stably, right? And that is just a fact. I always hated that saying because I was like, are you telling me that to be loved peacefully it has to be fucking boring?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I was like, why does it need to be like that? Why can't it be this wild passion, this, that? And I've realised that I was looking at that saying wrong. It doesn't mean that you need to go for boring Joe Blogs who like can't crack a joke, but he will love you until you die. That's not what it means. It means that especially when we're younger, I think, you crave this, like, you get a bit of a dopamine hit from this instability, you know, like that's why when you're younger, you tend to go for fuckboys. And then as you get older, you tend to break out of the cycle a bit more and you tend to, like, what you're attracted to starts to change. So you start to not find that fuckboy who's hot, cold fit anymore. You're like, what the fuck are you on about? Do you like me or not? If you don't, well, I'm getting to fuck. So I think this is 1,000,000% where I was going wrong with looking at that statement as a whole. I was like, are you trying to tell me that in order to have a stable, safe, like loving relationship, it has to be boring? It doesn't. It just means this hit that you get from this up, down, does he like me? I don't know. Sometimes he messages me loads, sometimes he doesn't. That is not right. That's not how it should be. It should just be consistent, like a little consistent train. And don't get me wrong, sometimes there's like, oh, we're really, really into each other at the moment, and then now, oh, I don't know, we've trailed off a bit. I've got busy in life, he's got busy in life. We aren't able to talk as much. You know, like, there's always peaks and troughs even within that. But as a whole, it's going to be consistent. Whereas this Bournemouth matey boy, it was... Guys, I was so down, but I'm actually going to tell you the maddest story. Oh my God, I've got the maddest... I love that I don't respect him at all, so I'm just going to air all of it. So I used to go and see him for days at a time in Bournemouth. So obviously I would always leave his down bad. Like, I was like, I am in love with this man. He is my baby daddy. He was head to toe tattoos, which, like, if you know me, that is my kryptonite. Just like neck, arms, everything. I was like, oh God, you're just a canvas. You are a sexy, naughty canvas, right? So this would happen. I would spend days at a time at his. Bear in mind, I'm with his family. He doesn't live on his own. So I'm with his family, I'm doing all this stuff. So already this feels a lot more intense and like solidified than it should. They're all saying like, Ash, we love you, the family, this, that and the other. I'm like, oh my God, well, this really is it. I would come home, he'd just disappear off the face of the earth. I would not hear from him for a month. Like, not hear anything. Then he'd come back. I can't believe I even entertained this, by the way. Like, I was so young and just like, oh, I was just so moldable at that time. It's mad to think what I entertained. He just disappeared. And I was like, and I remember I would send him like messages like this, like, what the fuck? Do I mean nothing to you? Like, not even an explanation, this, that and the other. He'd say nothing. He'd come back after 4 weeks and be like, hey, sorry, was like in a bit of a bad place. Like, love you, miss you. And I'd go straight back every time because I was like, oh, like maybe he was in a bad place, like blah, blah, blah. Maybe I should just believe that, fine. And it was like, fucking hell, at what cost? I am like falling apart here. I've literally ashes to ashes, if you pardon the pun. And I just did not care. I cared so much more. I was not putting my feelings first at all. I remember we had a big break. He ended up having a girlfriend. I think I saw people in this time, possibly even had a boyfriend myself, and we didn't speak for like a year and a half. We came back after, I want to say about that time, a year and a half, and I started speaking to him again. And I remember my mates going, there is no way you are speaking to him again. Like, surely not. Because they knew all of the stories from previous. They were like, Ash, you can't. And I said, do you know what? We were young. I think we were immature. I feel like I still, you know that I hate the thought of regretting or feeling like you missed an opportunity. I'm just like, I'm so that person that's like, you only live once. I will think about it forever if I didn't give it one more try and just see. So we went down this rabbit hole again. Fucking hell, guys. We were speaking and speaking. I think I went to see him or he went to see me. Can't remember. Anyway, he at the time was, do you know Dream Boys? I'm actually so, do you know, I've realised I actually love a male stripper, apparently. Dated a few of those. And he was, by the way, Dream Boys is the dead one. Dream Boys is the shit one. Yeah, right?
Shit Magic Mike.
Yeah, Dream Boys is the well shit Magic Mike, as in, I dated a Magic Mike boy for a bit, have not a bad word to say about him. He is a gorgeous, gorgeous boy. Magic Mike boys are dancers. Like, they're not, like, just male strippers. They are trained dancers that audition for Magic Mike. Like, the whole thing is choreography. Like, I don't actually think they get their flowers enough. This brother was a Dream Boys brother, and let me tell you, they just get their cocks out and whirl it about. No skill, just vibe. No skill, just cock, okay? So he was dancing for Dream Boys at the time. I just love the way I'm airing him. And,
Get it out.
yeah, in it. And basically, he said to me, we're performing over the weekend at Dream Boys. Like, do you want to come and visit and watch the show? I was like, is the Pope a nonce? Obviously, I want to do that. And I said, why don't I make a weekend of it? Why don't I bring my girls down? Even just thinking about it, it's making me shiver. I said, why don't I get a group of girls together? We do like a whole weekend in Bournemouth. It'll be really fun. We can get a little Airbnb, make like a proper thing of it. Like, we may as well, if we're going to road trip, like, do it with your whole chest and pussy. So he said, yeah, do that. What I'll do is I'll get you all comp tickets to the show. You can watch us in the show. Then we'll have a little night out. I'll, like, message my mate from the club and, like, make sure that you guys are all sorted, this, that, and the other. I was like, I love it when a plan comes together, okay? I've messaged my mates and I said, pack your bags, we're going Bournemouth this weekend, we're going to watch some male strippers. Obviously, they obliged, right? We've got this Airbnb, we're having a great time. It gets to a week before this Bournemouth trip. I can feel my spidey senses are telling me he's about to drop off the face of the earth. He's starting to reply less and less. I'm ringing him, no answer. Or I might FaceTime him like I normally do, like we were big on FaceTime because he lived in Bournemouth. Starting to not answer. My heart's going pitter-patter. I'm thinking, oh, fuck. Oh, no. Please, please, no. Like, don't drop off the face of the earth now. I've got all my mates coming to Bournemouth for this weekend. Like, the weekend that basically is curated around him. So I was like, please, please do not do this now. 5 days prior, drops off the face of the earth. Stops texting me. No, I'm getting not a single response. I see him, you know, when, have you ever had it when you're, like, so down bad in a situation and you're waiting to see whether someone's online or not? I hate it. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at my phone like the biggest pussy cart, like, is he even online? You know, when you're, like, thinking, or you're making every excuse under the sun. Maybe his phone's broken. Maybe he's died in a nuclear explosion and that's why he's not messaging me. And I'm just seeing this absolute prick go online, offline, online, offline. Bear in mind, there's messages from 4 days ago that he's not replied to. I'm like, fuck, what do I actually do? We've got this trip planned. Like, what do I do? It gets to the day before we leave for Bournemouth and I'm still hopeful. And I'm embarrassed by this point. So I'm, like, not really telling my friends the full scope of it all. Oh my God, it was awful, the thought of it now. Ow! And I'm not telling my mates. I've said to my mates, he's being a bit weird. Not really like heard from him. I think it's all good though. I think it's all good. In my heart, I am falling apart at the seams, okay? But I'm saying to them, I think we're fine, Because I'm thinking I cannot tell them, once again, that this boy's fucked me over. I can't. So it gets to literally the day of, and I had to tell my mates. I went, guys, I don't know what to do. I went, he's not spoken to me for a week. And then they were like, are you fucking joking? I went, I'll be honest, I'm embarrassed. I want to simply turn into sand at this point. So what do you suggest? And I'm literally on my hands and knees to my mates at this point. Bless them, they're looking at me like, Ash, what? I was like, I don't know what to do. And I just said, I don't want this boy to ruin our weekend. I was like, we have an Airbnb in Bournemouth. Let's go and have a good time. This was a terrible idea on my part. I should never have gone to... Why did I... Obviously, it's that classic just sad girl thing. I was like, no, I'm not letting him ruin our weekend. Let's just go and have a fucking fun time in Bournemouth. I wanted to bump into him in Bournemouth. By hook or by crook, I was hoping that either way, I'm like, oh, if you're not going to reply to me, best believe you're going to see me in that show.
I'm so done, basically, this.
Have you? It's the worst, Molly. It's. I remember. I look back at it now and I just think I can't believe I was ever this tapped. It's just so embarrassing. We went to Bournemouth. What's mad is, for the most part, I'm generally a positive person, right? As in, I've had some awful shit happen, and I'm just like, do you know what? What is the silver lining of this? How can we have a good time? That is inherently who I am as a person. So we went to Bournemouth. We get there, we end up staying at this kooky woman's house. She was iconic. We get there, she's got like chickens, and geese in a play hut. She's like this kooky woman who lives by the sea. She was like, hello ladies, do you want to see my chickens? I thought, this is exactly what I need whilst I'm being aired and ghosted by the love of my life. Like, I needed that energy. She was so fun. She had a whole shed in her garden full of like trinkets and fun games to take to the beach. She was honestly so great. So we were staying at her house. It was her Airbnb. Every morning, we're getting up in the morning. She's showing us how to lay the chicken's eggs. I said, do you know what? Who needs a man when you've got kooky Bournemouth lady? She's so great. So we're staying at hers. She gave us all these things to go to the beach. She was like, here you go, take the ping pong paddles, take these, take the life rafts, take the dinghies. We were having the best time. Meanwhile, though, I'm not telling my mates. I'm still, by the way, texting him. I'm still texting him. By the way, I'm not letting you ruin our trip. So we're in Bournemouth, and I'm trying to let him... I'm basically letting him know I'm here regardless of whether you're replying to me or not. So, like, hoping that will spark something in him. I'm so desperate by this point. I'm just doing anything to get his attention. It's so mad. And I said, do we even come to the show? The show's tonight and I still haven't heard from you. In what world am I going to go to that show and see him wave his knob about when he has not messaged me in a week? And I was genuinely thinking about doing it. That's how like, just, I was so far gone. Me and my mates were all chatting, we're all deciding like what the fuck is the best thing to do. They, rightly so, said to me, look, Ash, I think you need to air him. They were like, we've got the whole of Bournemouth. Like, there's so many fun places to go, bars to seek, whatever. They said, just forget about him. Let's just enjoy this weekend. I went, yeah, no, honestly, I completely agree. Like, fuck him. Meanwhile, are you fucking mad? Like, please tell me if we can come to this show. I was living two lives, right? We end up going for a really nice dinner this night. We're, like, knocking back wine. We go to a bar. I should never have gone out because in my head, I was so upset by the situation and I was trying so hard to mask it to my mates and have a good time. And I didn't want to bring them all the way to Bournemouth and have it go to shit. I was really, really trying to put my best foot forward, but I was so down bad. I ended up getting so drunk, right, after the show. So he was part-time Dream Boys, part-time fucking security guard, All right. So he was also security at a club. I knew what club he was at a security for. I went to my mates, let's go to this club. The club that I knew that he was literally going to be security at the club for. Bear in mind, oh, guys. So I am so drunk. I don't remember getting to the club even. And I'm about to see him on the door in security outfit. So I don't even remember getting to this club. That's how drunk I'd got because I was just in such a bad way. I was obviously just trying to mask all my feelings and just be like, fine, fuck it. I'm just going to go off the rails. So I get to the club. Oh, God, I get to the club. I got told I was a bit too drunk. My mates went, she's fine. We promise. We're going to take her to the bar and get her a water. We're only getting there, by the way, so this is how bad the night is going. Normally, that's like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., we're getting our mate a water. This was 11 p.m., and they're taking me for H2O at the bar. Not good, right? So we get there, they got me a water. I went, yeah, I'll have a water, and 3 tequilas. My friends are looking at me like we've lost her tonight. We've completely lost her to the source. Bear in mind, this is a boy who... I've just given you all the backstory. This is years and years in the making with this boy of ups, downs, tears, tantrums, whatever. I love yous, I don't love yous, this and that. I end up bumping into him. I'm on my way to the toilet with my mate. I see him. I'm so drunk. I don't even know what to say. I've not heard from him. We've not said a word to each other this whole time because he's ignored all my messages. He's coming this way in his security uniform. I'm stumbling through to the toilet with my mate, and I went to my mate, oh my God, it's him. Do you know what he did? He went, you all right? Patted me on the back and then walked off. Guys, when I tell you, by this point, I was like, I'm going to go and lie on the Bournemouth train track and just hope that whatever just takes me away. I was like, there is no way he's just done that to me. We are years and years on and off with this man, and that's how he's just greeted me. I literally, obviously, as you can tell, I was so drunk. All I wanted to do was see him. I've seen him, and that's what happened. I went, oh my God. The rest of the night was spent carrying me home. I'm crying the whole night, blah, blah, blah. Apparently, it's actually quite funny. I don't remember any of this. This is how drunk I was. I only remember being retold the story the next day. Apparently, I got back to our Airbnb. I'm stroking the chickens in the garden. And they're like, Ash, come on, Ash. Please, come on, get inside. We need to take you to bed. I am stroking a chicken going, I'm a cunt. It was so bad. So, yeah, I can't believe that all happened. I completely forgot about that story. Anyway, so that's my lesson on not being love bombed. If you don't want to go through anything like that, don't give in to love bombing. I can't believe how long that went on, but I had to. I can't believe I've never told that story. It was such a good story.
Baby Ash.
As in, I was baby Ash. I was so vulnerable. Oh, and then on the way home, it was so mad. It was a real bittersweet because I needed. That was the last time I ever saw him, I think, as far as me. Yeah, I think that's the last time I ever saw it. We've spoken actually since then, and I've said to him how I felt about that situation, blah, blah, we actually have. Even that in itself is mad. But I remember that I needed something that almost soul-destroying to happen to me to finally be like, I cannot entertain this. You know when have you ever been in such a toxic relationship and you've almost needed them to really, really do something so awful so that you can finally have enough anger to be like, I've got to leave it, I've got to go. And I've had so many mates in that situation where they've been with guys and you're like, what the hell? This doesn't match up. You're not even in the same league. Why are they still entertaining this guy? And you just say, do you know what? I need to let them go through the motions, because eventually they will do something so bad that, and I don't wish that upon my mates at all, but if they're not in that place to let it go themselves, they will at some point. It just needs to be, they need to be so disrespected by that person, and eventually they'll go, right, I've got to leave. I've got no option. And I remember the whole way home, it was so bittersweet, because me and my mates actually, like, I remember that making me so grateful to have, like, a good unit of girlies around me. I just thought, imagine if on top of this my mates were shit. No. I would slip into deep depression. But, like, my girls were just so good. And weirdly, we did have a good weekend, bar my mental breakdown. We actually had a really fun time. But it was, you know, my head was just not in the right space. And I remember the whole way home, I just cried in my mate's lap. And my mate driving, Grace, went, do you want to just get this all out now? Do you want me to play fun, upbeat music? What do you like? She was basically like, do you want, like, living La Vida Loca right now so you can get out of this? I said, put on James Blunt acoustic. I cried the whole way home to James Blunt singing You're Beautiful acoustic version on loop. And she went, is that where you're at? You want to just... And I said, I need to get this out. After this Bournemouth trip, I need this to be done. And that's what I did. I literally cried in my mate's lap the whole way home from Bournemouth. And we talk about... Now it's funny. Now it's fucking hilarious. At the time, I was like, life doesn't get much worse than this. But now we talk about it, and she just goes, Ash, do you remember you crying into my lap with McDonald's nuggets, listening to acoustic James Blunt? And I said, I'll never forget it. That was character building 101. I will never forget that. Oh, baby Ash. Thank God we're not there. Okay. I can't believe that story went on for so long. That is so funny. Okay. I get this question a lot. I actually don't know how to answer it. So, tips on confidence and how to not care what people think. I get this loads, I think, because on the surface, and it's not even on the surface, I am a fairly confident person. I don't take anything too seriously. So it does take quite a lot for me to really be asked what people think. But I find this such a hard topic to answer, because I think it's so hard to say or pinpoint exactly what it is to help somebody be more confident, if you know what I mean. I think obviously there's that classic, like, it all comes from within, blah, blah, blah. And that is just the case. It really does all come from within. I don't think there's this thing that people are like, can I just go and read this book on confidence and all of a sudden I'm more confident? It really doesn't work that way. You almost have to believe that when you walk into a room, you have something to offer, and that, like, your presence is valued in that room, and then all of a sudden you won't care what people think. Do you know what I mean? You're like, I don't care if I crack a weird joke and no one laughs, or if I'm a little bit loud, or if I'm this, or if I'm that. You're like, I know that my presence in this room is, like, valued to some degree. And then you all of a sudden, you just will stop caring. And I'm trying to think the best advice to give on this, because I also think I've always been fairly confident, but maybe not necessarily fully myself and confident, because I've always been really silly, really just, like, a bit weird, honestly. And I probably was a lot more conscious of wanting to, like, look cool, be fit, I would say, in, like, my earlier 20s, right? And the only way I can somewhat, like, describe this to you guys is, okay, so for example, my Instagram, when I was in my 20s, oh my God, I said I'm in my 20s now, I'm not Tutankhamun, I'm 28, but when I was like 21, my Instagram was not me. Nothing about it was me. And I remember I used to get really, really offended when people would meet me and be like, God, you're nothing like I thought you were going to be. And I'd be like, what do you mean? Like, why are you making assumptions just from my Instagram? Blah, blah, blah. Bear in mind, every photo on my Instagram was this. Of course you think I'm a wanker. That is so not me. There was not an inch of silliness. There was not any of my personality, none of my humour. Like, I was like, nothing about this page is me at all. And I started to realise, like, who am I actually doing this for? And I'm still going through this now, I think. Like, I think you're always constantly doing self-work. But it was so interesting to me the minute that and weirdly, TikTok was such a big outlet for me on this because I started posting just me talking shit, but it was just me being unfiltered me. And I didn't care. There was no audience there. I had 0 followers, obviously, when I started TikTok. So, like, I didn't give a shit. I was like, no one's going to see this anyway. I'm just talking rubbish. And all of a sudden, everyone started to say, oh my God, I love this. Like, I love you just being you. It's so transparent when somebody isn't being themselves. And it gave me so much confidence that I wasn't trying to be fit. I wasn't wearing makeup. I was literally taking videos in my room, no makeup on, in bed like this, and just saying how I felt. And all of a sudden, everyone liked it 10 times more than that Insta pic I had, like, toiled over for 3 days, editing it, cinching my waist in here, doing this there. And I was like, oh my God, for what? For who? Like, that, this doesn't even really show who I am at all. And I remember it was so interesting to me because, like, now I look at, you know, the stuff I post now is obviously so much more me because it's just, I've stopped caring almost about me being silly now and me, you know, potentially making myself look a bit of a fool or, oh, a boy's going to fancy me if I do this. And now I'm like, oh my God, if you don't fancy me, then you're so not the person for me because I'm going to end up meeting you and you're going to be like, oh God, she's a weirdo. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I cannot be this, like, Insta baddie girl day to day and then lure all these men into a false trap. Because honestly, when I tell you, this is so interesting actually, my Instagram used to be 80% men that followed me. And it used to, genuinely, that used to give me a sense of confidence.
It's that, once you get rid of that.
And then I was like, why do I give a shit? I remember I used to look at who was following me and if it was boys and people that thought I was attractive, and that used to make me feel good. And I was like, wow, that's insane. And once that started to shift and then I started to be more myself, it was instant confidence and actual valid, like, inside personal confidence. It wasn't about, like, my looks or my face or this or that or the other. And it was so interesting to me. I remember when I was like, oh my God, why is it making me happy that my Instagram is 80% gross men, that all they want to do is just, like, look at a pair of tits? I was like, that is rubbish. And now, the minute I started being more myself, more authentic, more genuine, 1,000,000%, I lost all of them. Now, my following is 90% women, which is so funny. And I'm like, that's great, because you're all here for the right reasons. And also, the 10% of men that are there are also there for the right reason. Like, they actually rate you. Like, they rate your shit. They rate who you are as a person. They think you're this or that, the other. So I genuinely just think, for me, the only advice I can give is just try and harness more of being exactly who you are. And because I think you know deep down, and do you know what? I actually find journaling has been a huge thing for me. My mate, my best mate who I live with, Rika, I've spoken about her loads on this pod, but she is just a spiritual baddie. She's iconic. I love her. And she is a big journaler. And she got me to journal. And I remember her saying, like, there were little exercises that she made me do. And it was like, and you do them on your own. You don't need to share these. Like, this can be a really personal thing to you. But we went and sat down and she said, think about what are the 5 ways in which you think people would describe you. And I was like, oh, that's really difficult. I don't know how people would describe me. And then, I wrote them down. And then it was, what are the 5 things that you value and that you believe that you are or that you want to be? And then I wrote those down. And then I was like, do these two things align? And if they don't, for example, if you feel that you, I don't know, you are a confident person, you love nature, you like this, you like that, all these things that are important to you and like your core self, if you then look at this and you think, how would other people describe me? And it doesn't align with anything that you actually care about, then you're not giving the world you at all. Like, whatever you're portraying, you're either dimming yourself down or you're diluting yourself for lack of fear, well, for fear, basically, of not wanting to be yourself and not wanting to be seen as you are. But you're doing yourself such a disservice because people are describing you as, you know, if you feel all these things about yourself and you think people are describing you as shy, materialistic, only really cares about her looks, blah, 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 and you don't feel that that's you, then you need to make those two things align. And it was just so interesting to me when she got me to do it, because it really did make me think. And I always, even to this day, check myself on what actually is important. This actually goes quite nicely into, I had somebody else ask, so your advice on people not being confident in the way they look. This is so hard because I am going through the worst dysmorphia ever right now. As in, it's so weird because it's not like I'm looking at myself thinking I'm butters. Not at all. And I spoke about this on the solo pod a while ago. So like, this is like, and this just goes to show these aren't things that are changed overnight. But I think social media is such a scary, spooky place for my For You page is crazy. It's just people getting surgeries. It's like girls getting work done, this, that, and the other. And it's so weird because even if you're a fairly confident person, I will look at those things and I don't hate the way I am now, but it's this constant niggle in the back of your head of, I don't look bad now, but if I just tweak this, if I just do that, if I just did this, I could look 10 times better. And I'm really trying to get out of that mind frame, and it's so, so hard. So like, I don't know, this is more of a conversation than an advice giving here because I'm also trying to do this myself. And every time I see myself falling into that trap, I just keep asking myself, like, who am I doing this for? Like, what beauty ideal, what standard, what am I trying to live up to here? And I keep having that conversation with myself. And weirdly, it's annoying because so my mate said to me, Ash, you need to change your For You page. She was like, you need to change your algorithm so that you're seeing more positive stuff. She was like, my whole algorithm is nature, is this, it's that. And I was like, I get it, but I also don't know how much I agree with that advice. Because in my head, there's always going to be thousands of beautiful people in the world, right? Like, there are so many gorgeous people that exist in this world. You're going to see them out and about. You're going to see them day to day. And my thing is, I don't just want to, like, because of my own insecurities, the way that I feel about myself, feel the need to remove any beautiful person from my vicinity. So I'm like, out of sight, out of mind. If I don't look at you, then I don't need to feel bad. I'm like, to me, all you're doing is masking the issue or making it like disappear, and you're not actually tackling what's going on like within, right? So I remember thinking, no, because then all I'm going to do is get rid of all these beautiful people on my page. Great. Won't see them on Instagram anymore. But then it's even worse. I'll be out at an event and see all these beautiful people in real life and go home and still feel shit. You know, like, you can't. So I always think like that's such shit advice. I don't think I would ever give that to anyone. So my thing is doing the work on yourself to ask yourself, why is it that I want this? What am I actually achieving by getting this? And whose standard am I trying to live up to by wanting this? And once you realise that it's somebody else's standard and not your own, that's it. Then you're like, okay, great. It means nothing, really. And this is so much easier said than done. But yeah, I'm really trying to have this like moment with myself at the moment. I'm trying to wear like stupid things. I'm trying to not wear lashes out. Like the other day, I actually had this whole thing where I'm trying to do more with no makeup on.
Yeah.
Which sounds like such a stupid, like, task. Like, oh, okay, good for you, going out with no makeup on. For some girls, I know girls that don't step foot out the door without makeup on. Yeah, I know, yeah. In it, au naturel baddie. Molly's an au naturel baddie. And don't get me wrong, makeup is also a beautiful expression. I love makeup. It is not, I could consider myself to be the most gorgeous woman in the world. I would still wear makeup because I like it. I like experimenting with it. It's like an art. I really love doing makeup. That was like what I started getting into like from like sixth form. I love it. So I'm not saying that. I think doing little things that just make you realise these things aren't so bad.
But also
and you build up confidence.
It's like it should be a choice. It shouldn't feel like you
Yes.
need to wear it.
Yeah.
And because once you take the joy away, then
Right.
there's no.
And then there's no, and then it feels compulsory, and that's what it is. That's definitely what it's become for me. Makeup's like compulsory. I tell you what, Amber Gill, coming on this pod with her fresh face and her braids, I would never go on a shoot because again, that's what it is. It feels compulsory. I would almost feel like I couldn't. I'm not going to rock up to a shoot with no makeup on. People would be like, oh, like, are you getting into hair and makeup anytime soon? And then I'd be like, no. And honestly, Amber Gill really made me feel like, wow, you fucking good for you. She looks amazing. She comes on here and she just exudes confidence at the minute. And it's weird because when I watched her on Love Island, she was quite ballsy and she was quite brash. And we spoke about this together. Like, people were very Marmite with her. Some people loved her. Some people hated her. They thought she was too much. And what's mad is, I remember she was like a real glam girl then. She was like, just so different. To me, actually, when I had her on this couch the other day, she exuded the most amount of confidence I've ever seen. In anybody. She was so chill in herself. And I literally said to her, wow, like, you've done a whole 360. And she was like, I stopped giving a shit. And I was like, oh, my God, good for you. She was like, I just stopped giving a shit about what people think. And I've never seen, she was so her when I saw her last. I was like, wow, good for you. So I'm trying to do little things that just make me realise, oh, my God, just being me is lit. I went on a whole night out, which, by the way, I'd never, ever do this. I went on a whole night out, fresh face. I put my little cat suit on. And I still, don't get me wrong, I'm still going to be giving you arty. I put a little cat suit on and my booties, and I went, I'm going on a night out. And I wore no makeup. And I remember we went to this casino. I was with Jack. We had the most fucking hilarious night. It's actually one of the best nights I've ever had. And then I look back at it and I think, would anybody retelling a story from that night tell you anything about my face?
That is the best piece of advice. Nobody is thinking about you the way that you are.
No. They will say, if you ask me to describe my mates, I am describing all the traits about them that I love. At no point am I going to say, I love the way she does her eyeliner. Her lips look really good on the 27th of February, 2009. That's so weird. And every time I think about that night out that I had where I wore no makeup and I just had the fucking funniest time with my mates. We talk about it all the time. And when we retell the stories, no one's talking about how any of us looked. We're talking about the hilarious time we had together. So that's my takeaway. I think that's a nice way to round off today. Yeah. Just, guys, just honestly believe in your shit a little bit more. I am still doing it. It's always going to be a process. That's why I like to talk about it. Whenever I feel that way on my Insta, I always say it so that you guys don't. Because I think, like, I post selfies all the time and it can look like everyone loves the way they look and they literally don't. Like, everybody has an element of insecurity somewhere. So, yeah, I just think let's just be more honest with ourselves and more forgiving. I love you. Mwah. Like, comment, subscribe if you're watching. Please leave me 5 stars if you're listening. I mean, if you hate it, just don't watch it. Don't leave me 1 star, though. Do you know what I mean? Tell your nan, tell your granddad, tell your cocker spaniel. I love you so much. And let me know, guys, let me know who you want to see as well. Are there guests that you have in mind? Because obviously I've exhausted every mate that I have in this industry. And I'm like, are there people you specifically want to see? If they are, tell me and I'll get to working on it. So yeah, mwah, I love you all so much. Have a glorious day.